Hi. Today I would like to talk about dealing with a major health diagnosis. And just so you know, if you're looking for the full-length video, if you happen to be watching this on Facebook or Instagram, you can find the full-length video on TikTok or YouTube. So anyway, health diagnosis. And actually, today is an appropriate day because 8 years ago I was diagnosed with systemic scleroderma. Got a phone call at 7:30 a.m. basically informing me of that. I had to go for additional lab work on New Year's Eve, and yeah, it was a great way to start off the new year. Actually, it was a Monday when I got the call, so if you don't like Mondays, that's another reason. So, and in my case, when I got that diagnosis, I was told that I had basically a 50% chance that I would not make it, would not survive 5 years, just given the particular antibodies that I have and so forth. Now, as a licensed counselor, which I am, it's very overwhelming. I mean, anytime a person deals with a major health crisis, a diagnosis, there are a lot of things that run through your head. There are, it can feel very overwhelming. One of the first things a lot of times people will do is start Googling and researching what they're dealing with. And that's all fine and good up until a point because you want to be educated, you want to know what you're dealing with. However, the problem is also sometimes people will research so much and become very overwhelmed. And I found myself walking a fine line between being in denial, even though I was aware of what I had, and doing research. So I would do research, and once I start feeling really thrown off by what I was finding, I would take a break. And usually that meant I should have stopped about 5 minutes earlier, because when you start feeling uncomfortable and that it's bothering you, chances are you should have stopped at least a few minutes earlier than you do, and then you ended up stopping. A year ago, I had another health diagnosis. Was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. Now, very different diagnosis, and actually one of the first things that hit me when I got the diagnosis was, at least it's not a scleroderma diagnosis. That was one of the first things that hit me. And then the other thing is, it was basically a best case scenario, because it was a slow growing tumor. It was, it was in an area where it could be removed and so forth. Anyway, but the interesting thing is that because people understand cancer, but they don't understand other diseases or disorders, such as scleroderma. So the outpouring, I actually had a lot more people were concerned about the colorectal cancer, which I was not very concerned about. I mean, I was a little concerned, but compared to the systemic scleroderma, you know, people didn't understand it, so they didn't really know what to think of it. So that's something too. If you're dealing with a diagnosis, you have to figure out whether or not what you want to share with people, and hopefully you have supportive family and friends that will be with you for the journey. If you've got medical appointments, which I'm sure you will, one of the important thing is if you have somebody that you're close to who can go with you. Ideally, they're taking notes and asking questions, and writing notes down, because that's one of the things that when you're the one dealing with the health diagnosis, it's overwhelming. And there are a lot of times you can think, oh, I should have asked this, or I should have done this, or what have you. And I even found that when I was dealing with my colorectal cancer, meeting with the oncologist and so forth, there were things that I realized, oh, I should have asked that, but I forgot. Even though I jotted notes, but I got distracted. And so these are things just to keep that in mind. One of the big things, take lots of deep breaths. Try not to let yourself get overwhelmed. Stress makes matters worse. Try to be as positive as you can, even though it may be a very difficult situation. Enlist help, support, and start looking for specialists that might be able to help you along your way, that may be able to give you better feedback. I went to Denver to see a scleroderma specialist, and I was grateful that I did. Um, so, but one of the things I'll say is, ideally you will get through it. And I know not everybody survives every horrible health diagnosis, unfortunately. But still, a lot of times, most times, people do, or they live longer than expected, and a lot of it is trying not to get overwhelmed. Try to stay as positive as possible. So, anyway, that's just a little quick note there. And I will say, for me, 8 years out, I had that 50% chance that I wouldn't make it. 5 years, I ran basically went out, ran 6.2 miles, 10K, and I'm still alive. I plan on living a long time. That's part of my goal. I'm hoping to do that, God willing. But anyway, hope you're having a great day, and take everything one step at a time. God bless.